Hello, my name is Heidi Moller Somsen, and I am a sculptor. I work primarily with ceramics and mixed media, and this is my work. The concept for this show is erosion, and I've always been inspired by things that I read and music and those other art forms. And I think I'm somebody who likes to think about like the big issues like life and death and the human experience. You know, often I'm not a word person. My medium is material and form. So I look to those other artists or writers to kind of help me along or inspire me. You know, I finished the Erosion by Terry Tempest Williams, and she's someone who I've really, I read everything that she's written, but this one spoke to this work that I wanted to make. And at the beginning of that book, she has a quote by the writer Tectonic. He says, I hope I get this right, but it's basically, we all come here to rub the sharp edges off each other. He says it's not suffering, it's erosion. So this idea of a piece of wood or a figure, as we'll get to over there, aging, eroding, and he says it's not suffering. Sometimes I feel like it is painful to, maybe go through the things that we do in life. Those are some of the things that I think about. I'm thinking about, the pieces hopefully exist on a level of form and, those aesthetics that we are attracted to. And as far as, line and form and material and surface and texture, and the human figure has a really long history in art. But if one wants to go deeper, the hope is that the work will give that to them. So this idea of our connection to nature and our ephemeral nature as human beings. We have not been on the earth that long, and we're kind of messing things up, to be honest. So it's like, maybe we won't be here much longer. There's this one I'm standing next to has no ceramic. It's a found piece of wood with a cast resin foot. I did some molds of my daughter's feet and cast them in resin with an additive that gives the look of plaster. The general theme has kind of evolved out of my grafted series, which were these large figures with limbs of wood grafted into, used as arms and such. And I like to think of the wood as kind of a desert driftwood, because I collect it usually fairly close to my home by Little Cottonwood Canyon. My background is in British Columbia. That's where I grew up, collecting driftwood on the coast and making things. And so I've always liked to make things out of my the things that I find in nature. This one is ceramic. The ceramic pieces, the figurative parts, are typically built solid and then hollowed out, and it's all stoneware clay. And then these mountain forms are slab built, so they're built with rolled out slabs of clay and kind of pieced together. The surface is really important to me, so I'm trying to get this surface that looks kind of old and worn, and even going back and sandblasting and refiring or adding. In this case, it has a little bit of India ink on the surface. So I just kind of work it until it looks like it's maybe been dug out of the ground or something. And this one has a resin kind of halo on it. This piece is called I Have No Fear of Time, and it comes from a Nancy Griffith song. So this idea, again, of time and erosion is what I'm really interested in. This one is called Rooted in Ritual. she's got this kind of ridiculous head dress thing on that seems to be some sort of ritualistic headdress. There's a term that is fairly new. I think it's the Anthropocene, so the unofficial term for the geological time that humans have been on the earth, specifically referring to the impact that we've had on the environment and climate. I guess I'm not trying to be like pushy or political with these pieces, but these are just the things that I'm thinking about. I want to be mindful of the fact that we are having this impact on the earth, but also thinking about the idea of, like grounding, or that we can potentially be healed or feel better if we go out and take off our shoes and socks and stand on the bare rock or dirt. And so there's something really beautiful about that connection, and something that I feel really strongly about. This piece, Erosion 2, was a piece that I started years ago, and I was never really happy with it, but I just, and sometimes I'll toss those pieces because I'm just done with them. But this one, I kept it around and finally just decided I was going to finish it, and I put it in a sandblaster and, took away a good amount of the face detail, and it ended up with this interesting texture that I really liked. Reglazed it, so the glaze was like pooling in those pock marks, and then I also spray painted the crack, referencing that Japanese kintsugi method of like making this damaged piece even more valuable and giving it more of a history. So I'm pretty happy with how that one turned out. This piece right here was directly related to the earthquake that we had. It's called Tectonic Plate Tiptoe. It's built on the form of a dinner plate. So I started with a dinner plate and then built these tectonic plates, these mountains coming up, the fault line, and has the toes tiptoeing across. Life mimicking art, art mimicking life. So, that was a fun one to make. And then this one with extruded clay forms that have been like kind of squashed. It's called Stomp, and these found objects, they're obviously shoe forms that they use, that a cobbler would use to make shoes. Referencing again our impact on the environment, and are we being careful? Are we being mindful of the impact that we're having? This one, I think, I'm tempted to put it in the sandblaster. I kind of want to see what happens if I it's almost too smooth, but it does go back to that quote about taking the sharp edges off each other. And so she's very smooth, and of course copper does erode with this patina. This glaze has a lot of copper in it. I've had fun with it. It's on several of my pieces. And just some gold leaf on the ends where the roots have been cut. And most of these pieces of wood are roots rather than branches, so I kind of like that symbolism and the idea of the wood itself. It's one of the most life-giving materials on earth and can be thought of as a religious material, the cross, it's just riddled with meaning. And so I love to kind of explore those ideas. Back to the Terry Tempest Williams Erosion book, she talks about the desert pronghorn, these antelope that apparently are very ancient, like the Pleistocene era or something. So over 1 million years they go back, their ancestors go back over 1 million years. So she talks about them as witnesses to what human beings have been up to on the earth. And their eyes are really amazing. They can see almost 360 degrees. It's like 320 degrees with these large eyes. And so I'm always, when I do a show like this, I'm already thinking about what I want to do next. And I would really like to kind of explore this form more and make like a whole herd of these desert pronghorn creatures, because I think they're really beautiful. But again, the glaze is kind of intentionally drippy and rubbed off in spots, so I want it to have that kind of old, eroded look. This one, Gilded Link, is more about a relationship, but also, you know, how our relationships can feel like kind of a natural kind of growing, you know, formation or something, and they can become eroded, and they can go through these same processes that we as individuals or the earth go through. They can be very much alive, and they can die and erode. So a couple more hiding back here. This one is called Tread Lightly. Pretty self-explanatory. And this one, May the Clay Dance to Meet You. Okay, so thank you for letting me talk to you about my work. I just feel very privileged to be a creator right now. I feel like as artists we're asking ourselves what our role is always in the world, and the world is a very strange place right now, but you know, just this idea of art reflecting what's happening, and it helps us remember to what's going on, so we can't just push it away. We have to kind of ponder those difficult ideas, and I feel like sculpture has the potential to be a kind of visual poetry or philosophy. So anyways, thank you. This show will be opening and be up through September 11th. So please come and have a look. Thank you so much.